Hi everybody, I'm doing a stream. It's been weeks. And I did think, I'll do one last week because of the bank holiday. And then anyone who has spoken to anyone in London knows it has been hotter than the sun. I'm just going to close the blind. It looked like it was about to rain maybe 3 minutes ago. And then it didn't rain. So now I'm being blinded by the sunlight. Hello, come in. So, as you may see from the title and the image, we've got a specific project today because I am on a deadline and I need to do this anyway, so I may as well stream it. So you can join me in doing this because I showed you this on a previous stream and they have rocketed along in progress, but I am working on my ruby slippers. And I have finished the first shoe. Please ignore the fact that the plastic inside is perishing. That is not part of the project that we're doing right now. That's going to be a future one when I need to kind of sand off the peeling paint and then reseal it. It will survive one wear. But I finished one shoe, and I'm now working on the second shoe. Oh, we've got a stone down. This is an issue. We've got to add an extra one here. And we finished shoe one. We're working on shoe two, and it is rocketing along. Only the other day. Maybe it was probably, I'm going to say it was like last week, but it was probably about 3 weeks ago. I started on this one again. So what I had when I wore them the first time, I was doing cosplay as Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. And this project was suddenly, I realised, way more than I could manage. So I did the fronts, like here. And then I did the back like this. So you could at least see from the front, you got the main shoe. And then as I was exiting, you could see that there was sparkle. So this I have added most of a shoe, most of the outside of a shoe to. That doesn't make sense. Anyway, this has been 10 years in the making. That cosplay was 10 years ago. And I only started working on them again when I moved in here, which was about 2 years ago, and obviously this has not been consistent because if it were, I'd have finished this ages ago. This second shoe has been so fast. But it was going to be very exciting to have this project done after 10 years of waiting. So I have a whole, this one is finished. As I said, they do lose some. So my first job when I did the back of the shoe the other day was I had to fill in some missing ones. And I imagine that after I wear them next week, because I'm going to an event, which wearing ruby slippers will be appropriate, I will probably have to do some more fixes. So we've got these. Now I've had to buy more rhinestones. I mean, again, I've had to buy rhinestones throughout this project, but I got more in last week. And trying to gauge how many I've got left in terms of the inside of this shoe, let's go to hand cam. Okay. So this is a Muji plastic box that was once my pill box. I think I had it divided into 12 boxes, which is really inconvenient because you get prescriptions on a weekly basis, and also if you wanted to get one out, you had to get them all. Anyway, so instead of pills, it became a rhinestone box. We are just putting that on to heat up. You see, we've divided by size. I recently got more of the 3mm, 4mm, and 5mm. Now, if I were to have my time again, I would not bother with the 2mm because that's obviously the work of a mad person. I've got plans for a second shoe, or a second pair of shoes, in which case I probably will only use the 6, 5s, and 4s. But this is what we're working with, and unfortunately, I can't possibly stop using the tiny ones now just because, then it would be inconsistent. So we're going to be filling this in. If I don't get this bit finished on stream, I will be pretty surprised, because this moves quite fast. We are nearly filled in on the outside of the second shoe. We move here. I tell you what's really satisfying. Covering up the seam between the heel and the, like the back of the heel and the high heel. Very, very satisfying. Now, I'm just going to keep going until I run out of stones, which may get us there. I may get more, but the essential thing is that this bit gets covered. And then after that, I'll fill in a bit more here. And quite frankly, if like this middle couple of inches doesn't get done by the deadline, it's not the end of the world, because that's not really the bit we're seeing. It kind of depends not on how much I get done. It depends on if I run out of stones and need to order more. How are we doing this? Actually, before we talk about how we're doing this, let's say hello to the chat, because Toby Marshall has excellent emoji use and has done 2 little red high heels in the chat. So I hope you are all enjoying yourselves and having a, well, I don't know if cozy is really on the cards for the next few months. When that rain comes, which it should tomorrow, I think we'll be due some cozy times. But if you've spoken to me or seen any of my social media in the last week, you will know I am a one topic person right now, and that is the heat. We topped out at 35.5 in here on Tuesday night. I did sleep downstairs 2 nights last week, and it was wild. So I'm sort of back to it today and trying to re-establish who I am and what I do. So I got up and I did my little mental health walk on my way out and about this morning, and done some admin stuff, and yeah, thought right, let's crack on. We'll do a Monday stream, because as I said, I've got to do this anyway. So we may as well use it to make hashtag content. So if you are doing a bit of crafting while you watch, drop in the chat and say what you're up to. Oh my god, sorry. I was about to say, how unprofessional for me to look at my texts because they've buzzed on my watch while I stream, except my very good friend's cat has brought in a baby rat. So I'm really sorry, Faith, but in future you'll be able to witness me react to that on here. I have seen the film Ratatouille, so maybe this is going to be the start of something beautiful. Or burn your house down. Toby says, it's currently cool enough not to have a fan on. I think that counts as cozy in the summer. I actually think that's right. Last night, it was genuinely odd not having my fan on in the evening, because I was so used to it. It was like not, I had got used to this. Ambient noise actually is overselling it. No, wrong way. God, I'll get this right one time. That's my fan over there. You can see it is semi-industrial, I think is how we would describe it. Loud is probably the shorter way of describing it. I have another one matching in my bedroom because obviously I couldn't have non-matching fans. And it's very loud. So to sleep, when I have it on in my room, I wear earplugs, except I like to have something talking at me while I sleep. So I then have to play a podcast extra loud. It's a dreadful system, and we're all very glad for this a bit more chill. Unless you've got a rat in your living room, in which case it's probably not very chill. Right. God, this is weird looking at my posture and then trying to work out which way to. I'll never get used to a non-mirrored camera. Anyway, how this whole system works is I am using hotfix stones, which means that these are little rhinestones that have a tiny bit of glue, this kind of meltable backing on it, and then I am using a hot stone wand, which is basically a very small iron, and I have different heads for it, but I just use one standard size because I'm using multiple sizes and it would drive me mad to sort them out. Some of them are flat, like a little iron. Some of them are shaped so that you can just plonk them on over the top. You can see like the color comparison. So that is heating up. And then I placed them with the tiny tweezers that came in like, it was a Swiss Army card that I got from Girl Guiding. And it's really useful for this job alone. Now, what I will do on my next project of this type is I will just use glue and non-hotfix things, because I have to iron each individual rhinestone on, and that takes forever. Whereas if I had glue, I could slap on a bit, you know, fill in this little area, and as it goes tacky, just go and probably you can get these pens that have wax tips that pick them up rather than using tweezers, so that would be faster. However, I didn't want to switch from hotfix to non-hotfix halfway through the project. I mean, also I think on these, because you have to hold it for a long time, you can get this kind of ring of glue around the edge as the pressure of the iron, and then as the glue melts, it pushes it down. So it's not the neatest. I mean, none of this play makes sense, because I think if you are doing things like on Strictly, right, they have stones every so often for the shimmer. They are not encrusted. I think the encrusted look, horrible phrase like that, is way cooler. And if you are going to have if you're gonna have ruby slippers, have bloomin' ruby slippers, right? So I've got my hot stone wand heated up. Let's get stoned. I regret nothing. I don't think we even need encoding overload. I don't even know what that means. Okay, what it means is probably that we're going to get some drop frame rates. I'm just going to close some tabs on my laptop while we do this, because it'd probably be better if we don't have everything in the background. Dragging the stream down. If you can hear noise above me, that is of course the roof squirrels, paying no attention to them. Their time is limited. Right, so a lot of this is kind of trial and error, working out what fits where. I try not to have things super, everything next to each other. Wait, I try not to have stones of the same size next to each other, because it can end up looking, I don't know, slightly odd. But you have to just kind of start placing them and see how it fits. So let's do those two. Let's not get that caught on all the cables, because we don't want that. And then it really is a case of just holding that in place. Can we do it a little longer? So Faith is now in the chat, and she says that when she's not trying to catch her cat's new friends, she's slowly piecing together a simple quilt. Which sounds lovely. So yeah, they tend to be, these tend to be pretty sturdy once you've got that glue really melted. They do. Let's get that out of the way. Just gonna throw that shit on the floor. And then let me know how the sound is, because obviously I'm gonna talk, but this isn't like a highly narratable event, so you might just get some of the music in the background. I'm trying to work out how to get the music to shuffle, because otherwise like every stream is going to open with the opening music from Stardew Valley, and when I ordered my stones, I got a set of just mixed coloured ones, and then this box got tipped over. So a recent project, which I obviously loved, was sorting them all out so that they didn't go everywhere, or that they were all in their appropriately sized boxes. So for every stone I placed, I would put one back in its right box. It's good to have a system, guys. Good to have a system. At some point, I'll do a tot-up of how many stones I have bought. There is a relatively notable attrition rate because they do ping off as I work. I fished one out of the vacuum before I emptied it the other day. So really that should be another... do you reckon I maybe put a 3 in there? So the smallest size is a 2. So they're in millimeters, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Oh, sorry. Raising the microphone there. But in my mind, they're 1 to 5. So if I refer to a 3, it's actually a 4mm stone, but I know what I mean. That's the medium size. So the biggest stone is kind of the size of the tip that I've got on the thing. And often when I'm nudging it back into space, I'm not sure you'll be able to see on this camera, but you can kind of see that I've pushed there's almost like a kind of scales effect, which is the round tip of the iron against the fake suede of the new look shoe. But that's quite useful because it tells me, oh, a 6 will fit there. It just tells you I was doing them by 1 to 5. Oh, Faye says her Miko fan is so quiet she often forgets to turn it off. Could never be me. I have witnessed multiple streamers approach to hot weather over the last week, either cancelling or just not scheduling them, or forced to do it by for contractual reasons and looking like they might be broadcasting from one of the circles of hell. The big ones are so pleasing. They take up so much space. If you look at the front of the shoe, I think I was kind of more cautious about placing them at first, because I think they're way more spread out than they should be in terms of averaging, you know, the use of each size. So as I got into it and I realised, oh, I have loads of this big size, I think I use them more. And look, we're about to get this. Now, here's a fun question. Do I make it join here? Or do I feel, you know, that gap, making it close up is a privilege, and I don't want to rush it and fill this gap in before I filled in most of the space. We've got to go, you know, this bit's quite wide. But it's so, this project is, by all metrics, the work of a troubled mind. That I would decide to make this, that I would not think about how small some of the stones were first, and I would just keep going regardless. But yeah, it's so satisfying. Apart from having to wrangle, you know, this is already a fairly... Oh, actually, is that a 4? Let's put a 4 in. Okay. Nice thing is, if you need to, you just throw the stone into the shoe and that holds it. That's better. Let's put a 3. Yeah, this is, so I said something I started a decade ago. I have plans to make a bigger video on the subject, so you'll be able to see the costume that went with it, and I thought I'd do some sort of non-craft related chat in it to talk about why dressing up as Judy Garland was so important to me. But obviously we've got to get this bit done. I took such a long break from making this that the company I first got the stones from had gone bust, or not gone bust. They weren't operating. I don't want to speak to how the situation in which they left the business, and I had to try and work out what I'd got, because it wasn't as straightforward as, you know, it wasn't a wool with a brand and a dye lot. It was stone, hotfix, size. They have different coats for sizes, that's consistent, but yeah, it wasn't a consistent brand. This colour is called Dark Siam, and aside from that, we just had to work it out. So I ordered a couple, and I found an excellent company who then a year later, because I bought more last year, and I accidentally deleted the confirmation email. So I got a good match last year, didn't note down what it was, so when I needed more last week, I had to email them and say, hello, this is my name and address. I spent this much on this date. What on earth did I buy? And they got me matched. Yeah. So, look at that. It's very pleasing. They've been on display and they've got a bit dusty, so I vacuumed them and then got a damp cloth to these the other day, and they've come up so nicely, which is great, because you can't be trotting down the yellow brick road with dusty ruby slippers. Munchkins would laugh at you. I mean, an annoying thing is these shoes are actually slightly too big. So, I do have to put insoles in them, because I bought them online, again, a decade ago, on the basis that I knew I wanted fake suede so that it would be nice and grippy for the glue. And when I was at university, I really rated New Look high heels, and I still do to an extent. So I got these on eBay, and yeah, but once I actually got into them, they are the right size, but they're a wide fit. Fascinating, because I spent my childhood having to get wide fit shoes, and then these ones didn't fit me. But yeah, it's slightly not as straightforward as one would hope. Let's get there. God damn it. Where did you go? Well, we'll find that later. Yeah, there's. I have to say, I really enjoy after dinner putting something on my iPad and sitting at the table and gluing stones. It's very mindless, by which I mean mindful. Yeah, so. And as I said, the progress has been pretty swift on that. This is... Oh, Toby says that one Susie's now. Now, touch wood, I have not seen her attempt to eat one of these. But yeah, there is a certain attrition rate. I also, on a few nights out in like 2017, I would glue one under each eye. And I posted this picture in which I looked undeniably hot. I looked great in this picture. With this, one of the reply guys on my old Twitter was like, I actually don't like those stones under your eyes very much. And I think I just said there's a quote about Amy Poehler, I think, to Jimmy Fallon, doing a bit on SNL. And him going, "Ooh, I don't like it," because she was being goofy and unladylike. And she said, "I don't effing care if you don't like it." And then at that point, my reply guy unfollowed me and possibly blocked me. Faith says, these shoes are going to be blindingly gorgeous in bright sunlight. I hope so. I hope... I'm worried. There are so many stones on them that actually they're going to lose the effect, or I'm going to be arrested for accidentally carrying some kind of weapon, because they are so bright. The night I wore them glued under my eyes was the night I went to Secret Cinema to see Romeo and Juliet. And it is one of the best nights of my life because it was one of the worst nights out I've ever had. So Secret Cinema, I'd been to the Moulin Rouge one, and that was amazing. Like, the show itself, the pre-show bit was really fun, and they kind of did the story of the film, and we drank absinthe, which was vile, and had these great costumes, and yeah, we all dressed up. But I mean, I have my opinions on Secret Cinema, because it's like, this will be your character, you will be doing this, and actually that is a completely moot point. No one is actually doing these things, so it kind of, it's like both too immersive and not immersive enough at the same time, because you think, oh, I must be playing my character who is a bohemian, who is this name, and it says I should find people with this name. No one's doing that. Anyway, but the pre-show was amazing. They had a fake Montmartre, they had the elephant, they had a bar, and then Will walked into a new space, which we completely missed, which was the Moulin Rouge, and they did the whole blooming show. It was amazing. So we then went to see... we bought tickets to Romeo and Juliet. Now, the first thing I had ever heard about Secret Cinema was when they were doing Back to the Future. And it is one of the things that ignited my love of a fiasco, because it was, they built, like, oh, what's the town in Back to the Future? I'm trying not to say Sweet Valley High, because that's very different. But they'd built like an outdoor area and the clock tower, but it wasn't finished. And someone said someone on Twitter said they were like up over it on a ladder against the wall looking over it, and they could see the cast who were bored playing hand clapping games. And they had to cancel the first night, and so, you know, I knew that Secret Cinema could go either way, so we went to Romeo and Michelle by Shakespeare. And again, they're like, this is what you'll be dressing up as. And it was quite fun. So you could be a Montague or Capulet, and we were in black and red. My friend had got incredible temporary tattoos, so I had an enormous thigh piece of a tiger. I was wearing a long wig. I was with my best friend. There were all this stuff going on. Then we were going round. There was like a fake car shop and, bars and all sorts. And allegedly there were bits of interactive gameplay you could do. Oh, and you could get access to a disco. And we got into the disco. This was all done by drag queens. And we're like, great. This is fantastic. Oh, okay, it's time to go and watch the show. And it had started raining heavily. To put it mildly. And how do I put this? I've still never seen Romeo and Juliet, is how this turned out. So we sort of were like, okay, we're gonna sit and wait. And people were buying umbrellas, they were buying plastic ponchos. So it was all outdoors, and there was like people would put down blankets, and it rained so much there was standing water rising through the blankets. It was apocalyptic, and they wouldn't start the show because it was raining, so they kind of did a beginning bit where some people run up and down an aisle. It's kind of what I remember. And we were like, oh, here we go. And then nothing happened. And eventually we said, we have to go home. This is awful. But they don't announce that they're not doing the film because then they'd have to give refunds. And it was so late. I think, you know, there were things like, well, this has to finish because I think it was in Victoria Park. It has to finish at this time because they have a curfew. And this film, like a film's runtime, so you're not sneaking in and putting this on a cheeky 1.15 to get it in under the wire. So they wouldn't have been able to show the film. I don't know what happened in the end. I think they just eventually pressed play on the DVD. But yeah, my best friend and I went home. So we left at actually a reasonable hour and got in. And it was amazing. I had such a great time, absolutely failing to see the film I had paid good money to see. And we should have just stayed in the disco with the drag queens, but obviously we kind of wanted to go and see the film. It was bizarre. And also, imagine if you'd been like, do you know what? I've seen Romeo and Juliet. I'm having a lovely time in this disco area. We'll just stay in the disco. Because, you know, if you've seen the film, you've seen the film. And then you might go, well, we'll pop out and see how they're getting on. And you come out to Apocalypse Now. People's... I cannot express to you how wet the ground was. Because it wasn't raining when we arrived, and then it rained so much that the ground couldn't absorb it any longer. Great night, would do it again. And as I said, my friend and I looked super hot. But that is where some of these have gone. For a while, I still had two of the stones. I have a tiny tin in which I keep my... Oh, it wouldn't have been in that tin. Okay. This shows the aging process. I have a tin with the ruby slippers on, which is what I used to store my false eyelashes in. And now it's what I store my stitch markers in. Because our lives change. But I had, this tin that was full of false eyelashes. And then the occasional, like one of these, because I'm reusing these. If I'm sticking them to my face. You peel the glue off an eyelash, give it a rinse. You can reuse an eyelash. I don't know if that's medical advice, but it's the mantra I live by in my university days. I used to bloody love a fake eyelash. Look at that. That's close. I fear this might be my longest stream because I get so into it that I'm suddenly going to go, it's 6:30. But yeah, that gap. Oh, it's like the Strait of Hormuz. Is that a joke? Is that a joke or just those references? I now kind of refuse to watch Romeo and Juliet because I think it's funnier having never seen it. Because I think if you're talking about having booked tickets to see it and then you describe it as a film which you have still never seen. I was doing some edits on some writing I've done, which I hadn't read since I wrote it in January. I've made myself laugh several times. Which feels... you shouldn't laugh at your own jokes. Number one, yes, I should. Otherwise, I wouldn't think they're funny, so I wouldn't make them as jokes. And number two, I'm not laughing at it because I made it. I've forgotten that I made this joke, so it's not like I'm like, wow, classic Rosie joke. It's like, that's pretty funny, past Rosie, nice one. So we have to be careful not putting the super big ones on this angle here. So I think we're going to do a 3. A 2. Ooh. I lost these tweezers for a while. That was pretty devastating to this project. That's not why I didn't do it. Didn't do it because I didn't have a deadline. And there was a point at which it seemed like it was interminable. Which actually it has not proven to be based on, as I said, the speed it's gone at recently. I kind of want to do something with this edge. I should probably have done it before I stuck stones right next to it. Well, that's backfired. Where the bloody hell's that gone? Were you a 2? Why are you in there? You can go in there, you bastard. Yeah. I mean, I think these will probably become display items after I wear them next week. And then I will probably paint the soles. I could paint them yellow. Like the yellow brick road. That's an idea, isn't it? And I want to make the bow. Because these are... Let's not even get into how screen inaccurate these are. Judy's... a good friend of mine. Judy's shoes are sequined, not stoned, which makes a lot more sense. But they are not as heeled, and where they do have a heel, it's a block heel. They have a different. They don't have the little sort of toe cleavage V-neck, but they do have. They do have a bow on them, and what I'm thinking of doing is making the bow and having it on a clip so that I can put it on when I want to wear them, when I want to add to the little screen accuracy, because also they would hide the shape of the front. And the bow on the MGM ones it's quite square, and they have these kind of square gems and bugle beads around the edge. So I reckon that with that gem and then consistently sized beads around the edge of the square gem, I can kind of marry the two designs going on. So my whatever this, I don't know what style this is, but whatever it is, we're gonna marry them together. I need to work out where I'm gonna put big ones here, because I've got the large ones on the edges and I don't necessarily want them to touch. There comes a point suddenly where I realise, I haven't used any tiny ones, but then I'll put a tiny one in, at which point I realise when I then go to put the big one in, that tiny one should be a different, smaller one. So I guess what I could do when I do my next project, love the way this has taken me 10 years. Here I am talking about how ridiculous it is. And I'm like, yeah, but the next one, I could lay the stones out, photograph them for each section, not the whole thing, that'd be silly. And then glue it down, sorry for hitting the camera, glue it down and put the glue down and then recreate the picture of the layout so that I can kind of check. Because that one I now have to work out, well, I'm not going to be able to put like a bigger one here, but that's good because it's on the angle, and then, what sizes go where. Of course, in the original book, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, there is no book called The Wizard of Oz. In The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, they are silver shoes, and MGM made them red because they look better in Technicolor, and if the conceit of your film is that your character moves from sepia to glorious Technicolor, you then don't want to give her grey shoes, so they're ruby. I am absolutely fascinated by the legal implications of the film The Wizard of Oz, right? Because it's the way most people know the story of Oz. As I said, there's no book, The Wizard of Oz, it's The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Which means that if you ever want to do any kind of derivative work, you have to negotiate the fact that the books may be out of copyright, but the imagery of the MGM film isn't. I mean, I assume it's going to come out of copyright at some point, or whether film copyright renews. I don't know enough about that. But, so in there I sometimes sort of remelt the glue under something to shift it down so I can get some more space on that 4, and then I can get a 1 closer in there. They have to negotiate the fact that the Wicked Witch of the West in L. Frank Baum's book is a small woman with braids and an eye patch. She is not green. The slippers are silver. There's almost like just all the iconography. And like the plot is very different. I mean, there basically isn't a plot to The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. The plot of there being, it's kind of like just a picaresque. What it actually makes me think of is Cats. You know how Cats is basically, when someone said this is a chorus line about cats because Faith has said glorious technicolor, breathtaking cinemascope and stereophonic sounds in the comments. Yeah, how Cats is basically a chorus line. It's just different cats introducing themselves, and it's kind of that sort of thing. It's like she goes to one place, she goes to another place. Oh, we're in Winky Country. I have to say, I think one of the best things about about The Wizard of Oz is getting rid of the constant references to Winkies. It's just not, it's not a cool word. Yeah, so she's just kind of going through, and obviously there's the aim to get to the Emerald City and to meet the wizard and go home, but it's very much like, we go to this town. This town's made of the people of China dolls. We go to this place. The Wicked Witch of the West gets kind of mad at us. And the MGM version builds that into an actual, I've ended up with this sort of dog leg, that builds an actual plot onto it, which makes a heck of a lot more sense. But it then means that if you want, as I said, you want to do anything derivative of the Wizard of Oz, if you then said, it's the Wicked Witch of the West, and you had a woman with two plaits and a eye patch, people would be like, well, this is a very bold interpretation of the work. Which leads me to basically my favourite fact ever, my kind of QI elf fact, which is in Oz the Great and Powerful, which is the worst Oz film I've ever seen, and I speak as someone who owns the Muppet Wizard of Oz. They wanted to make the Wicked Witch of the West green, but they are a Disney company, and the Wizard of Oz is owned by MGM, so they had to make her a legally distinct shade of green. Just the idea that you'd be like, we're going to make a movie. Great. Any legal requirements? I guess we're going to need contracts for the crew. And they're like, no, we need you to look at this paint chart and tell us how far... Oh, I think we're about to place the final one here. We need to look at this paint chart and tell us how green we can get without being sued. But yeah, if you've seen any Wizard of Oz adaptation, if you've seen Once Upon a Time, we've seen Wicked, you've seen Oz the Great and Powerful, the Wicked Witch is green. Disney especially love doing Wizards of Oz stuff. I mean, I hate Oz the Great and Powerful. It's a weird film that was like, what if this series was about a man? You're like, what if it wasn't? And like, okay, but what if the man was James Franco? And you're like, no, I'm doubling down on my previous response. This is gonna be satisfying. Yeah. And I think they would have perfectly happily made sequels. I just feel like, there was this period where Disney were constantly trying to be like, you want an Oz film? Because that's it's a big recognizable revenue machine. So I wrote part of my master's it was female power in Oz on film, because I wanted to talk about the MGM movie, but it's those books are so feminist. L. Frank Baum was married to a prominent feminist, and the matriarchy in those books are incredible, and how that has been or hasn't been adapted to the screen, I find fascinating. So there's a character in this, I think, second one. Don't read the books though; they are rubbish. No, they're fine. But like, if you like The Wizard of Oz because you really like the MGM movie, and you're like, well, I gotta read the books. These are going to be my favourite books. They probably aren't. They're interesting to read, but they're kind of curios. My favourite line in The Wonderful Wizard of Oz is they've met. I think it's when they meet the Tin Man, right? And he says, and they've met a wooden sawhorse. This is another character. So a sawhorse is like a workbench, but he's an actual horse and he's wooden. So you've seen a housefly, etc. And they meet I think it's the Tin Man says, "What kind of a dog is that about Toto?" And Dorothy says, "He's a meat dog," because he's not made. And you're like, I mean, that's accurate, Dorothy, but you've made it so weird. You cannot say he's a meat dog about your pet. Yeah, and like, it is very, we're here, we're there, oh, this is happening, all over. I think I might want to get this one. I don't think I'm going to be able to get more of the big size in there. But yeah, this, right, what I was going to say is in the future book, so there were loads. I wrote Wizard of Oz. That's my big reveal. There are loads of Oz books. L. Frank Baum did not write most of them, but he did write the first few. And in I think it's the second one, there's this character called General Ginger, who is one of my favourite Oz characters. And the Scarecrow has become the King of Oz. Obviously, don't ask. And she leads a rebellion, and she's got an all-girl army, and they're all dressed like they're in like military tops and then chorus girl shorts. So the illustrations are amazing, and yeah, so they look like the Ziegfeld Follies characters. If you were told, like, you know, the Rockettes, if you were told, like, imagine the Rockettes but they're military and in Oz, that's what they look like. And they use knitting needles as weapons, so obviously I love them. But then I think that she turns up in one other book where it's like, oh yeah, then Ginger got married and she just bullies her husband now. So it's not the best stuff, but she's never been put on film, even though I think she's one of the best characters. The Princess of Oz is canonically trans. That's Ozma. She spends the book as a little boy. Dorothy and this boy end up in Oz, and they're having adventures, and he's just a straightforward little boy. And then it's only when they get to the Emerald City or to the throne room or anything. I can't recall the plot, and I don't think that's on me. But they get to the Emerald City, and they're like, "Oh, but you, boy, you are not just a boy from Kansas. You are Ozma, Princess of Oz." And he's like, "I remember now. I'm a girl." "Oh, that makes so much more sense. I'm a girl now. Bye." And they're all like, "Yeah, great." And I think Dorothy and Ozma have, like, it's a very romantic friendship. It's just so, like, I mean, I know, obviously, the Judy Garland friend of Dorothy thing is very, camp. There's a huge queer interpretation of that film. But then you watch it and you're like, oh, you read the books and you're like, oh, bloody hell, this was already here. They're absolutely, yeah, I mean, as I said, they're kind of curios. I read the first three, and then I watched every Oz film I could get my hands on. And I'd seen one or two at the BFI years ago, one of which was one of the creepiest or like freakiest things I've ever seen. So a couple are directed by L. Frank Baum himself. One of them's got blackface in it. One of them's got a Stan Laurel in it. Or Oliver Hardy. Do I mean Oliver Hardy? It's got the fat one in it. And then there's a character in the books called the Patchwork Girl of Oz, and she's in one of the films, and it is creepy. I described her as a cloth-faced loon, right? I don't know if you've ever seen the episode of Buffy called Hush. I've seen half of it. and they're the characters called the Gentlemen, and they steal people's voices, and it's a silent episode, and it's famously one of the best and one of the scariest episodes of Buffy. And I had never seen it, and then as a teenager I rented a DVD which had 4 of the most popular episodes of Buffy as voted for by fans. And I was like, great, I'm going to watch this. There are a couple I hadn't seen because I hadn't started watching Buffy when they were on. I was relying on what was on BBC Two. I was like, hush, it's going to be freaky, but I'm going to watch it in the morning, which is what my dad said he did when he watched Psycho as a student. They got up and watched it in the morning. I was like, I'll watch Hush, and halfway through I had to be like, nope, not for me, because although the Gentlemen are really creepy, and let's not deny that, and I'm freaking myself out thinking about them right now. They've got these goons who are like, I think they might be wearing straitjackets, and they've got this really lollopy walk, and they freaked me out so much. And anyway, the Patchwork Girl of Oz reminded me of that. So the character has this kind of cloth head, which I think is a very kind of horror movie thing, but like a rubberized cloth head. And also one time when I went to the BFI screening, I did fall asleep, which is surprisingly for me not a regular occurrence. I did once fall asleep during Boeing when I'd had too nice a quiche when I arrived at the theatre, and it had been raining outside. And don't fall asleep in a French farce. That's my tip to you, because I went to sleep, one of the girlfriends was in the apartment. I woke up, another girlfriend was in the apartment. No idea how we got there. So I fell asleep during one of these BFI films because I was obviously knackered and they were weird. So I watched some of those. I mean, some of them are on YouTube. They're out of copyright. I watched, obviously, MGM. I watched The Wiz, which I'd never seen before. That is, I mean, really good. It's very different. I mean, obviously it's different, but like it feels that it's not pulled into Wizard of Oz scholarship as much as the other ones. I think it gets labeled as like, oh, it's a Motown thing, or it's like the black one, as opposed to being a Wizard of Oz film first. I don't recall it being as kind of included in a lot of the criticism I read. I watched Return to Oz. That's a freaky film. Actually, I have to say, not as freaky as a lot of people find it. But then maybe I'd already watched the black and white one, so I was immune to that one. That has the Queen with 100 Heads, but it's kind of it's Princess Mombi, and in the books, Princess Mombi is different. I think there's Princess Mombi and there's Princess, her name is something like, it's a Languidaire, something like that, because she's so sleepy, and they kind of combine the two together in that film, and she's got all the heads, which I think is so cool. I mean, not least because I love the Sister Sister song Return to Oz. 3:00 in the morning, you get a phone call from the Queen with 100 heads. And like, I just love that. I just think that image is so cool. Of having all these shelves, you can just be like, which head shall I have today? I didn't watch some of the TV ones. I didn't watch, I think it's just called Tin Man. Was one with Zooey Deschanel and Alan Cumming, and it was like 2005 or something, made for TV, sort of several parter. Muppets Wizard of Oz is absolutely bizarre, because I think people always say like, oh, our Muppets need to do more adaptations of great novels, which I agree with, but not like that. It's made for TV. The bit where Miss Piggy plays the witches, right? And when she, as the Wicked Witch, melts, it is just horrible, because they've got this like halfway shrunk Piggy. It's kind of more like a Kermit style glove puppet, much thinner, just like a standard glove puppet, but is pink and is melting. Horrid film. It's just not very funny. Like, it's just not it's low budget, and I mean, it's not disastrous. People have made worse films. Can I stick a number 5 in there? Or do we need to go for a 4? I might need to go for a 4. I mean, it was, I reread the article earlier this year. Oh, because a friend set up an event where people give talks on subjects that are particularly interesting to them. And I said that I would talk about that and reread my essay. I was like, man, this is fascinating. Oh, Toby says, I watched all of Tin Man. I remember very little other than I enjoyed it. And Alan Cumming is always a good addition, says Faith. Apparently he's as delightful as you'd imagine. We should hope so. I saw his one-man show last year, 2 years ago. And number 1 introduced me to a song which I now count as one of my favourite songs. He opened with But Alive from, oh God, what's the musical called? It's a musical version of All About Eve starring Lauren Bacall. Yep. That's what I said. And it's absolutely fantastic. And that was his opener, and his anecdotes were hilarious. And you're just like, what a lovely showman. And just, you think I would love to hang out with him talking about smuggling booze into various people's funerals. Yeah. I'm trying to work. I think I might have to turn that essay into a YouTube video, because I found it so fascinating. And as I was saying, like, the Oz the Great and Powerful film, which, as I mentioned, stinks. They take this series where it's all about women being in charge. The whole point of the Wizard of Oz film, well, the whole point is there's no place like home, but is that the wizard is a humbug. He's rubbish. The people who have the power are the women. The witches, Dorothy, Miss Gulch, I think people, probably just because you can imagine Judy Garland going, Auntie M, but I think people think way more about Auntie M than they do Uncle, couldn't even remember his name. And, then they're like, the equivalent of the wizard in Kansas is a fake psychic. That's how much of a humbug he is. She says, you're a bad man. No, I'm a good man. I'm a very bad wizard. And then Disney were like, hey, Sam Raimi loved Spider-Man. Would you like to make a film? Zach Braff plays a talking monkey. James Franco. At which point you're like, no, thank you very much. He will play the wizard. Oh, am I going to be able to fit that in there? Do we need to do another 2? Okay, I'm going to... This is... remelt the glue on these. So this is the benefit, is that you can remelt it enough and then the glue stays usually stuck to the stone. That's better, rather than the shoe, and you can reuse the stone. Oh, I mean, the plot of the Oz the Great and Powerful is all these beautiful women are in love with the wizard. How terrible. It's just the most straightforward, boring, like, man version of a film. Where you're like, oh, I don't know, what's the plot here? Well, there are some women, so they're going to fight over the man. The only bit I like is that when he's in... I think it's Nebraska. No, that doesn't make any sense. No, it does. Anyway, the wizard doesn't come from Kansas. He comes from Nebraska. I'm probably gonna get that wrong. But when he's in America, he's in this circus, and there's a bit where this couple, I can't remember, this couple appear, but anyway, they turn out to be called Mr. and Mrs. Gale, so they're Dorothy's parents. So I was like, oh, I love this, and then I saw the rest of the film, and I was like, burn this down, gang. Oh, it's bang on 5. It's just in 5:01. So this has been my longest stream, but we did not go to 6:30. I got to share my favourite subject in the world. I have turned off the hot gun. I have turned off the hot glue gun, hot fix wand. So, look at that. There's a space in here, which I spotted earlier. I think when I was first doing it, they're more spaced out, and then I got really into like jamming them together. But that is what I wanted to achieve today. So the outside of this shoe is done. We've got the inside to do. But as I said, not a disaster if it doesn't all get done. I'd like it to. So let's go to Big Gracie. Hi, hello, it's me. That was an absolute treat, just rambling about my favourite subject while finishing a project or getting like this is the best. This is the best. Look, I've got. Oh wait. It's really confusing. I know I can't do mirrors, but why is it stones on the inside? So, yeah, that one. We've got these. They are so satisfying as well. Like, kind of want to encrust everything I wear. Like, imagine a jacket. And then if anyone tried to stab you, which admittedly hasn't really come up, but we never know. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm not sure I'm going to make it next Monday because I have a lunch date, but hopefully I will be back on very soon. So yeah, as I said, I'll let you know how wearing them next Wednesday goes, and maybe I'll make that longer video, which will probably be just an edited or a more coherent version of all my thoughts from today. It's been an absolute treat having you here today and nattering away about... Oh. Well, I shouldn't do that, should I? I've just popped a stone off it. Let's just get that one. I'm just going to redo that one. But yeah, it's been an absolute treat having you join me, and I will see you super soon.